carbon cycle. All elements and some compounds have their natural cycle in nature, for example, the water cycle. Matter is cycled using energy, usually from the sun. And in this video, we'll be considering the carbon cycle. We will see how photosynthesis and respiration, see the linked video, help carbon to be cycled in nature, again using energy from the sun, and we will also see the part played by mankind when we use fossil fuels. First of all, the natural carbon cycle. Can you remember what the process is called where plants capture carbon and give off oxygen? Pause the video whilst you think. Did you remember that this process is called photosynthesis? The carbon is used to build up new plant material. Animals eat the plants or other animals to build up their bodies. To obtain energy for all these living processes, plants and animals take in oxygen and rejoin it with the carbohydrates, so returning the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. Do you remember what this process is called? Pause the video. This process is called respiration. Now, let's put some details into this. As they grow, all living things have to build up large polymer molecules from small molecules. Protein, for example, to make your skin and muscles and other organs, comes from joining amino acids together. Cellulose and starch to make the leaves, flowers, trunks, roots, and all parts of plants from joining sugars, and DNA to make the genes which control living things from the bases and the sugar and phosphate. Plants can make these simple molecules from the carbon they capture from photosynthesis, with added elements from the minerals they get from the soil. Animals, on the other hand, get their molecules ready-made when they eat plants or other animals, but first they have to break the food polymers back into the small molecules. Do you know what this process is called? Pause whilst you think of an answer. This is called digestion, breaking the food into little bits so it can get into our blood. All of this, of course, needs lots of energy. And living things get their energy from respiration. Some of the monomers, things like sugar, have to be rejoined with oxygen, and for us, that is the principal use of the carbohydrates in our diet. The carbon dioxide gets back into the food web through photosynthesis, influence on the carbon cycle. Hundreds of millions of years ago, huge quantities of living things died and were trapped in layers of rock. These formed our fossil fuels of coal, oil, and natural gas. Sometimes they were trapped in mud deposits that got compressed into shale. Tiny pockets of natural gas in these shales are now being exploited by fracturing the deep down rocks in a process called fracking. The carbon dioxide released during respiration is cycled naturally. The same is the case if we burn wood and agricultural waste, even biogas given off from food we throw into rubbish tips and from sewage works. All this carbon has been recently captured from the atmosphere, and we are simply returning it to be used again in the natural cycle. However, when we burn fossil fuels, the carbon in them has been underground for hundreds of millions of years, and this adds new carbon dioxide to the atmosphere. You need to view the video on climate change, Environment 30, to explore the problems this is causing for our planet. Just as we use 90% of our food as a fuel and only 10% for building and repairing our bodies, so with fossil fuels, 90% are used as fuels and are combusted, and only 10% are used to make things such as plastic. See the linked video on the uses of crude oil. If we burn household waste, including plastics, at least the oil has been used once or twice before it gets used as a fuel. Better still is to use the plastic as a resource for making new plastics by recycling. So there it is, the carbon cycle. Remember that carbon dioxide and oxygen dissolve in water, so there is a similar cycle that keeps life working in the oceans too. Matter cannot be created, so nature continually recycles. It's something that we are relearning to do. See the materials and the recycling video as well.